we're gonna go ahead and get started. And so to start our special programming, our guests wanted us to play this video, and then after that we'll let them get started.
Hello and welcome to Purdue. My name is Carol Shelby and I am the Senior Director of Environmental Health and Public Safety. Members of the EHPS team are going to share safety resources that are available to you.
I'm Ryan Edwards with the Purdue University Police Department. Your campus police department has 40 fully sworn officers of the state of Indiana to assist you. Our police department is on South Martin Jiske Drive, just northeast of the Sun Statue. Our department is open 24 hours a day, every day of the year. If you need assistance anywhere in Indiana, you can call or text 911. On campus, your call or text will come directly to our Public Safety Dispatch Center to provide you with quick assistance. We participate in the national initiative to see something, say something. If you see something, anything of concern, call us. If it's not an emergency, you can call our non-emergency number. It's right on the back of your student ID card. Also on the back of your ID card is our student Safe Walk number, 494-SAFE. Your police department provides a free service of walking escorts 24 hours a day to your vehicle or across campus.
Hi, I'm Jefferson Howells with Campus Emergency Preparedness and Planning Office. Our campus is a large one with a daily population of around 60,000 people. We have over 400 buildings on 2,500 acres. We provide emergency notifications called Purdue Alert to more than 55,000 people all at once. These alerts will provide important information to you and the rest of the Purdue community. Our basic emergency plan is simple. If you are outside and you hear an outdoor all hazards warning siren, you should go inside the nearest building to seek shelter. If you are inside and you hear a fire alarm, go outside. Each major building has a building emergency plan to identify the shelter-in-place locations and the evacuation route outdoors. If you haven't already, you should sign up for Purdue Alert text messaging. You can sign up for free at purdue.edu/EA, where you can also link to all campus emergency plans and training resources. You may also receive alerts via email, digital signage boards, boiler TV, desktop pop-ups, classroom beacons, or by hearing the outdoor all hazards warning sirens. You can also sign up for emergency notifications through your Twitter account by following @Purdue Emergency.
My name is Adam Bordner, and I am one of 30 career firefighters here at Purdue to provide safety to the campus. Here at Purdue, we are one of only a few U.S. universities equipped with a full fire and emergency medical services department. Conveniently located on 3rd Street by the COREC, 2 advanced life support ambulances are ready to respond at any time. In the event of a medical emergency, Purdue University firefighters are equipped as paramedics and emergency medical technicians who are here to provide you free emergency transport, care, and advice. Purdue University firefighters are trained in a wide variety of skills beyond fire suppression, such as high-angle rope rescue, hazardous materials emergencies, and airport rescue firefighting. Most importantly, if you have a medical emergency, please call or text 911 for immediate emergency medical services at no cost to you.
Hi, I'm Jim Schweitzer with Radiological and Environmental Management, commonly known as REM. We provide the university with a wide variety of safety services, such as lab safety training and facility inspections. We help you and your student organizations for safety planning for your events. With over 100 miles of sidewalks on campus, we want you and your fellow students to be safe as you travel across campus. Try to stay aware and put your phone down and keep your eyes up as you travel across campus. We have a slip, trip, and fall hotline to report unsafe walking conditions. Just dial 765-494-3087 to report those unsafe walking conditions.
All of the departments in environmental health and public safety offer safety programs and training so you can be educated about your campus and how to stay safe. Just go to purdue.edu/EHPS and look for the training tabs to find lists of our training opportunities. And don't forget, Safety and emergency numbers are located on the back of your Purdue student ID card. Your safety is your personal responsibility, but we've got a lot of resources and people here to help you. From all of us on your environmental health and public safety team, we welcome you to the community. Be safe and boiler up.
Okay, Nathan, are we able to switch to see the Zoom out here?
Yes.
Perfect.
So they may be waiting for you to ask them questions.
Okay, we can't actually see their faces right now. We're just seeing the camera view of the room. Okay, we see you, Director Shelby, now. All right, thank you all so much for joining us. If you want to just start with quick introductions, hopefully everyone was able to see and hear the video, and then we're excited to hear from you.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate so much the fact that you've invited us back this year. We love to come and talk to PSG and tell you just a little bit about what services we can provide for you and to hear what your concerns might be as well. As I mentioned on the video, I'm Carol Shelby, and I've been with Purdue just about 30 years. I've been in this role for 20 years, and I am very, very lucky to be able to lead the environmental health and public safety team. As we mentioned on the video, we're one of very, very few institutions in the United States, higher education institutions, that have their own fire department with transport ambulance service. So I'm going to go immediately to my right in my Zoom and have Kevin Ply introduce himself, our fire chief.
Good evening. Like Carol said, my name is Kevin Ply. I'm fire chief. Very happy to be the fire chief, Purdue University Fire Department and Emergency Medical Services. I've been with the university for 32 years now, so been here for a little bit, and been fire chief since 2007. And happy to be working in a facility that's so much around the students. It's really an exciting place to work, and been proud to be a part of it for so long. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Jefferson Howells, our Director of Emergency Preparedness.
Good evening, everyone. Following Carol and Chief Ply, I only started in 2000, so I'm actually kind of the least tenured of all of us so far here. But proud student of the university, completed that in the late 90s, and then kind of transitioned into fire service with Chief Ply, and then emergency management, which is kind of like the what if department, but also helps people, like what I noticed today with some of the winter driving. We have some winter driving tips for some of our community that may not be familiar with it. So we try to have all things emergency management or emergency preparedness in different formats, plus Purdue Alert.
Just to add to that, we do have our own emergency preparedness plan. It's available on our website, on the EHPS website. And it sort of guides everyone at Purdue to have an understanding of what we might do in a particular emergency. So we have little brief descriptions of that in many of the classrooms or the hallways that you may have seen. But our full emergency plan, emergency management plan, is available on the website. So if you have an interest in that, you can take a look at that. And certainly that may generate some questions that you can send to me or any of us on this call tonight. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce Chief John Cox, your police chief.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Carol. Good evening, I guess. I would like to say thank you as well for having us join you tonight. It's always a pleasure to get together with this particular group. The men and women of the University Police Department serve our campus and work with the other agencies in Tippecanoe County, including the Sheriff's Office, West Lafayette City, entering the state police post. We have 45 sworn officers and 13 dispatchers that work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, as I mentioned in the video. And we are a full service police department. We're just like any other department that you might come from. We have a very robust training program, and we offer a lot of programming. If you've not ever been to our site, don't hesitate to visit us at purdue.edu/police. And some of the bigger interests right now are the de-escalation training. We're doing a lot of that right now. So happy to be here tonight.
So we're happy to take questions. If you have questions for us tonight, or you'd like us to talk about a particular topic, we're happy to do that too.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe you want to start with just giving a little bit of a brief overview on maybe some of the projects and initiatives that you're working on right now, or that are pertinent, obviously, with COVID, and then we can go into some questions.
I'm sorry, so you wanted to hear a little bit about what we're doing about COVID? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, just different projects or initiatives maybe that you're working on right now, and then we can go into some questions.
Okay. Well, we have a number of initiatives around COVID, and the Environmental Health and Public Safety team as a whole was very involved from the very beginning. I've been involved in the planning from the very beginning, all the way back to last January, January of 20. We began watching COVID across the world in December of 2019. And so we recognized that in January, then in January of 2020, that we needed to begin to prepare should it get more widespread. And of course, you know what that answer is, it did. And then we had the opportunity to work together with the rest of the university to prepare. I see, you're wearing a mask. I wanted to mention that our video was done well before COVID. We didn't wear masks in there because COVID had not hit the university yet, but we have had a number of initiatives. Many of the policies and the procedures that you see with regard to safety for COVID-19 were generated by members of this team along with our administration. Our administration has been very dedicated to ensuring the safety of our students on campus, as well as the most vulnerable on our campus, whether they be students, staff, or faculty. And so we've made a major investment, not only of our time, but also of our resources to make sure that we can provide a safe environment for living, learning, and teaching on the campus. And what I'd like to talk a little bit about, if you'd like to hear about the isolation and quarantine, should a student be asked to relocate their living arrangements for a brief period so that they can either isolate safely and be overseen by our Protect Purdue Health Center, or if they're asked to quarantine because they were exposed to someone that actually had a positive case of COVID-19. We do utilize our Purdue Fire Department to provide many of the services to help make students feel comfortable, transport safely over to our isolation and quarantine space, and then check in on them every single day. So Chief, you want to tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's, it's one of those things where, we saw that there was a need, and since we provide the ambulance service to Purdue University, it just made sense that we be the transportation piece for COVID. So that way we can evaluate the individual. All of our people are either licensed paramedics or certified EMTs. And so we can evaluate the individual. If they aren't in any immediate threat, we can continue with that transport over to isolation, quarantine housing. And, since the beginning of the year, it's happened over 1,000 times where we've transported somebody, not all once, but transport them to that destination. Then we saw the need to be able to, when somebody's in isolation, to make sure that somebody is communicating with them at least daily. So we have a fire department personnel assigned. Right now we have 2 personnel assigned to work the quarantine isolation housing areas. So we make sure that we check in on everybody every day and have a face-to-face conversation with them to make sure that if they're symptomatic, their symptoms aren't changing. If they're isolated by themselves, we generally remind them to keep in contact with both their friends and family, that's important when they're in isolation. Make sure that, if there's things they need, even running to get prescriptions for them, we do that. If they don't have enough water, bottled water or food, we'll make sure those arrangements are made. Whatever their needs are to make them comfortable, we're there to try to make sure. But most importantly, we're doing that face-to-face contact to make sure they're safe. And that's why we do it at least daily. In some cases, we'll, where it's needed, we'll make sure we're making contact at least more than once per day.
Very good. And a couple of things that set Purdue apart with its response to COVID-19. We are testing, and many of you on this call and in the room, I'm sure, have been chosen for random testing throughout last semester, the fall semester, or through already during this semester. But also we have our own Protect Purdue Health Center, and that also makes us unique. We use that group to ensure that there is a case manager for every single student, faculty, and faculty and staff member that is diagnosed as a positive individual with COVID-19, or they've been exposed to someone else. And so it's not just the students that are being looked after by the Protect Purdue Health Center, but it's also all of the staff in EHPS, all of your faculty members that may have experienced it are being watched over by the medical caseworkers provided through the Protect Purdue Health Center. And then the second thing that we're doing that's very different from a lot of others is we're using data. We're using data to evaluate students and faculty and staff and how they might be in contact with one another. And that helps us, again, with contact tracing. The most important thing for us to be able to do is to separate people that have been diagnosed positive with COVID-19 so that we can, number one, assist them medically and make sure that as a student, you're able to continue your academic studies, but then also to allow that person to recover separately and stay away from other folks where they might become contagious to someone else. And so it's been a very successful program, and I know some of you may have seen some of the Instagrams and some of the videos that have been put out there by students. We also have a great group of folks in the student ambassadors. The Protect Purdue student ambassadors are just wonderful across campus on a day-to-day basis. And as recently as last Friday and Saturday, they were delivering goodies to the folks that were in quarantine and isolation, either at Purdue Village or out at Village West, which is our alternative location. So there's been a lot of work done on that, and happy to answer any questions you may have about that.
Thank you, Director Shelby. So I guess we can open it up to the floor. So if you're on the Zoom, feel free to just unmute yourself or in here if you have questions, whether related to COVID or outside of that, other initiatives maybe that the different departments are working on. Yes, Senator Beatty.
Hi guys, thank you for coming out tonight. It's always great hearing from you. My question is, I'm working on a medical amnesty policy revision for the university, and we're just trying to make a few adjustments to it. But I wanted to know, it's purely dealing with intoxication right now. I wanted to know your thoughts on adding a controlled substance clause.
We've actually been asked that in the past, and I can give you some background, or what I'll ask you to do actually is chat with Chief Cox. He's been involved in our discussions about that in the past.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. So there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to the criminal code for an alcohol violation and a drug law violation. You're in a lot of cases, depending on what the substance is, you're talking about a felony, and the job of the law enforcement agency is to support the state law as was issued by the state of Indiana. So it gets a little bit more trickier in there when you start talking about drugs. I will tell you that we do and have had good luck with students who have used the amnesty portion of that for alcohol. They've shared information when our officers are there. Our officers have made it clear that they're not at risk should they do that. But that could be anywhere from an infraction to a misdemeanor. And when you're talking about illegal substances, you're talking sometimes up to felony cases. And we can't just ignore felony drug law violations. So that's going to make that part difficult.
I would like to tag in on that. again, as the ambulance provider for Purdue University, we rarely see overdoses of drug overdoses from street drugs like heroin, cocaine, things like that. We carry Narcan because we have to carry it, but I will assure you, I don't recall where we've ever used it on campus. Most of the time when we use it, it's when we're providing mutual aid to the county ambulance service and we cross the river. So alcohol is a big issue on campus. I think in past years, 14% of all alcohol transports or all ambulance runs, alcohol was a factor. So alcohol is a pretty big issue on our campus. But the big major hard drugs that you hear in the news, fortunately for us, I think our students are smarter than that. And we don't see those types of issues on campus like some communities do.
Thank you for your answer. Yeah, I definitely understand. That's why I wanted to ask, but that's clear. Thank you.
Any other questions? President Gilmore.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's always good to see you and hear about the happenings from different perspectives on campus. And so the last time we were together, we were talking about what are they called? Electric motor powered vehicles on campus and scooters and bicycles. And we're working on a lot of different rules and regulations that would be put in place to ensure the safety of our students. And I was just hoping to hear a check-in to see how things have changed from last semester, from spring of 2020 until now. I know recently there were a few accidents. And so I would just love to hear an update on where the group is with that.
Thank you for looking forward to spring. That's awesome. Hard to think about that right now. But we did implement some new protocols in the fall. And John, I'm going to call on John Cox again to talk about that a little bit.
Happy to do that. And thank you. So we did work hard on that. We worked very closely with our partners in parking and updated some of the regulations in that area. We did restart and I have a full-time bike officer that we assigned to work the 3rd Street corridor. We've been working with planning to do some additional signage along that 3rd Street corridor, and there are some speed limitations. Our biggest offenders are the electric skateboards. By their own admission, some of them will run 30 and 40 miles an hour. But I will say, on the other hand, our electric skateboard operators were some of our most involved when we were having conversations, and so they want to do it right. So we have been putting bike officers out on that 3rd Street corridor. We have been working with planning. We're going to try to get some more visual speed limit signs on the ground in the bike lanes and along that area. But in general, we've just tried to do more of a push. We did a couple of blitzes, wrote a lot of warnings on those 2 times that we did it. I think a total of somewhere around 80, either verbal or written warnings for violations of either bike infraction or bike violations or skateboard speed violations, disregarding the automatic signals, and just in general trying to get everybody to pay attention to this new route that goes east and west between academic campus and our western residence halls. So far so good. And when, as Carol mentioned, when it finally warms up again, we'll get back out there and we will restart that all over, because as you know, every year is a new group of freshmen, and it's all about keeping the message moving forward.
That is so good to hear.
What about that new 3rd Street? That's pretty awesome.
Thank you so much. I do have another question, if it pleases Madam Chair, if she'll allow it. But in terms of, we know another big topic this year was about race, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And I would love to hear how your various offices are working, whether that's directly with the equity task force that the University Board of Trustees established, or in your own ways. Chief Cox, I know you mentioned de-escalation training and those sort of things, but would love to hear how you all are tackling these issues, because we know that when it comes to safety, making sure our students of color and everyone, it feels safe here on campus.
Yep. Happy. Oh, go ahead, Carol.
Go ahead, John. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm happy to address it from the police department's perspective. So, yeah, we have been working very hard. I will give you just a snapshot in the month of January. Lieutenant Sarah Clark, who runs our programming section, gave the de-escalation training to more than 500 participants. So that's something that we're doing. All of our officers have gone through the program, and we continue to look for ways to train. We have been partnering with Dr. Gates. I and Dr. Gates have a monthly call with the local law enforcement agency heads, Sheriff Goldsmith, Chief Flanley, and Chief Harris, and then even the ISP district lieutenant will join us, and we talk about all things having to do with race and relations between police and public, and looking for ways. And right now, that group is working on building some training that Dr. Gates actually hopes to create and push out and make it a standard. So that's going on. As you mentioned, we're kind of at a lower level involved in the equity task force. I believe Carol and her boss, the senior vice president, are more involved directly with that. But we are excited to share that the last round of hiring, we now have 3 African-American officers and 1 Hispanic officer. And that's the most diversity in that area that our department has ever been able to bring on. We struggle in those areas. So we've been working, we've got a process going right now. We have a talent acquisition specialist. We're getting ready to hire 4 additional officers. We are using talent acquisition to hit those areas like the magazines and the ways that we can connect with our colors of community to try to bring in a broad spectrum for our next pool of candidates to run through. And we also are working on bringing more female candidates into our field. We have a pretty good mix of female, and about half of my lieutenants, half of my command staff is female, with the most recent being Deputy Chief Leslie Weedy was promoted to that position, and that she is the first female deputy chief in the history of the Purdue University Police Department. So both in diversity and in gender, we're trying to continue to build on that. So a lot of things we're working on, and we're making small gains in a number of those areas.
As John mentioned, the Senior Vice President for Administrative Operations, Mike Klein, is a member of the Equity Task Force, one of the subcommittees. So we supplied a lot of data to that committee. There's a particular subcommittee that collects data, and we provided a lot of data from all of the areas in EHPS to fulfill the requests that they made. But just to key on to what John has said, we do, when we have the opportunity to hire someone new into our organization, we try to get the broadest pool of candidates so that we can have departments that reflect our community. That's our goal, and we work hard to do that. In this time of COVID, I can say that it's as with everything, a lot of our processes have been slowed down or even shut down for some time, but we hope to ramp that back up as we return to normal business of the university.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Pro Temp Griffin Little.
Hi everyone. So I had a very seasonal question. I know you mentioned that you had tips for safe driving in the winter, but I had a question about specifically icy sidewalks, specifically in the morning, because many of us have really early morning classes, like 7:30s, 8:30s. I have a 9:30, and I know the school works hard to clear sidewalks as early as they can, but I was wondering what sort of, remedies students have about sort of walking to class in these very icy sidewalks without, injuring themselves, and especially for classes that, attendance, it's not mandatory now, but it's really expected, so trying to navigate attending class while also getting there safely, especially early in the morning.
I completely understand because I'm actually up and about and parked and walking the center of campus every day for a meeting, early morning meeting. So I understand that sometimes, yeah, the sidewalks aren't completely cleared by the time you're moving about at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning. I think the number one thing that you can do is wear the proper footwear. I have specialized boots that I purchased that have special anti-slip on the bottom to make sure that I don't take a fall. But it is, I mean, it can be treacherous no matter where you are because that weather can change all of a sudden. And you're exactly right. Our grounds department works overnight many times when they know that the snow is coming, or they get up very, very early because they're out there clearing when I'm walking. They just haven't always cleared the part that I particularly am walking on. So I can say that the most important things that you can do is wear proper footwear. And as the video mentioned, look up. Try not to be texting while you're walking because you really do have to pay extra attention because that ice can be right in front of you and you don't even know it until you're right on top of it. But there's also a phone number, and we can put that back to the president or the vice president so that you've got it. But there's a slip, trip, and fall phone number that you can identify areas that you may have run into that have been overlooked for some reason, or there's been some sort of a buildup. I don't know if y'all have seen the big snowball right underneath the bell tower. That's one of those areas that probably won't get cleared for a while. And so we want to be sure that we are providing through the grounds department the best service that we can so we can get those sidewalks cleared.
Go out there. Oh, sorry, John.
Well, it's okay. I was just going to mention, and one thing for all of you to keep in mind as well, I've had a lot of contact with grounds here recently. We've been having conversations about snow emergency routes with the West Lafayette City street department. And what you might want to remember is some of our city streets and some of the sidewalks that you guys walk to and from class on are city streets and city sidewalks. So it really is important that number that you mentioned or that Carol mentioned is super important. If you see one that's not treated, there's a chance, maybe a better chance than not, that it might be a city street or a city sidewalk. So if you report that, then at least if it is a city problem, we can get that information to the city. Now, I will tell you that our grounds department does run a lot of the sidewalks that actually probably are technically in the city's jurisdiction, just because you all use them. But their primary goal when they get out is to clear the main sidewalks to get you all to and from campus, and then they clean up the smaller sidewalks in some of the city areas that we would hopefully see the city hit might be some of the last ones that they run. So just keep that in mind as well.
And that phone number is 494-3087.
Thank you, Jefferson.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I was going to throw in there too, when Carol talked about, walking on main campus and things like that. Also, when a person's walking in winter weather, try not to put your hands in your pockets. That way, if you do slip and fall, you can use your arms to brace your fall. Obviously, if your hands are tucked in your pocket, that's not going to happen. Also, it was brought up earlier about skateboard, scooters, and things like that. Probably when the roads are covered with snow is not a good time to be on your power skateboard. We responded twice in the last week for accidents that occurred on skateboards when they were riding on icy, snow-covered roadways, and one resulted in a dislocated shoulder. So it's probably not the best time to be on the skateboard when the roads are covered with snow and ice.
Thank you. Chief of Staff King.
Hello, it's so nice to have you here, and thank you for answering all of our questions. Mine is a little bit tricky because, following the news, we're seeing that there's new variants coming from other countries of COVID-19, and students are getting really tired of, quarantining and trying to be careful, wearing masks. It's exhausting, and I feel like students might not be as careful as they were the first semester than they are this semester. So are there changes being made that you know of in the Protect Purdue policy to accommodate for these more contagious variants? And what role can police or fire play, especially in managing the students standing outside of the bars, making sure that they're socially distanced, or even the Protect Purdue ambassadors, because those are students as well?
Well, I'll answer the question about, are we looking at new methodologies for Protect Purdue, and are we looking at the Purdue Pledge? And the answer to that is yes. We've made many changes. It might not even feel like it because they come and they're very subtle. But as you may know, just today, the CDC came out with some recommendations on how to better fit your mask. I know there was some discussion, I think it was last week, that Tony Fauci came out and said, hey, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have 2 masks. Well, that's true. But what came out from the CDC today was that if you have a well-fitting mask and it meets the guidelines that we have set from the beginning, which is a multi-ply natural fiber, like cotton mask, if it fits well, it will help protect you and it will help protect others as well. The original reason to be wearing the mask was to keep those droplets with you. If I'm breathing out, they should stay with me. But it also, at this point, if you have a properly fitting mask that is multiple layers, it will protect you from others to some extent. And so masking continues to be the most important way to help prevent the spread, as does social distancing and washing your hands. And I absolutely agree. We are all tired of it. There is no question about it. But as we see these new variants coming, it's going to continue to change. Those virologists that we work with every single day are telling us that this is going to be with us for a long time. And so we just need to develop methodologies so that we can continue to do the things that we've been doing. Believe it or not, we're beginning to plan for fall. We're planning for summer and we're planning for fall. And so we will be continuing to make changes that make sense, that help protect you as the students and help protect our most vulnerable, so that we can stop the spread to the extent that we're able to do. So look for those changes to be coming in the coming months. Back to the Protect Purdue ambassadors, you're absolutely right. Actually, we're working with them. Some of the folks on this call, Kevin Ply and myself, are going to be working with the Protect Purdue ambassadors to make some new videos, not only about the variants, but also about changes that we're making to the isolation and quarantine space. And then, as you know, they've been making lots and lots of videos about how to stay safe, how to properly wear a mask, wash your hands, and all of those things. So yes, I can absolutely tell you that we will continue to make changes that make sense with what's going on in the public health arena.
And something else, when you get the opportunity to get the vaccine, get it. I think it's important that all of us get the vaccine. I've received mine now. Chief Cox has also received his. It's important for all of us to really consider getting that vaccine, because as soon as we do, the sooner we can, get over that hump to where we can start getting back to normal. It's going to take everybody to consider getting that vaccine as soon as it's available to them.
And I also don't want to lose sight. You mentioned the bar lines and things like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
West Lafayette City has a code enforcement division that handles all of those complaints. So if it's off campus, your best remedy would be to contact the West Lafayette City Police Department Dispatch Center, and they will forward that information. So if you see bar lines at Harry's, and there may be other code enforcement issues going on that the fire departments could look at. On campus, obviously our Dean of Students office manages those things. And we as your law enforcement agency, because it's not a crime, we can't walk up to you and point our finger at you and tell you put your mask on or I'm going to write you a ticket. That's not what we do, and that's not what we'd ever want to do. That's not our role. But we will assist the Dean of Students office if there are questions. If we do have large parties, we write case reports that are shared with the Dean of Students office, identifying individuals that are at the party, or if they're in a Greek community, identifying which house, those types of things. So we do have a role in that. It's just not a direct hands-on role as you might think it would be.
Thank you so much. That clarified a lot. And something worth mentioning is that I was just surfing Amazon like we all do, and I found these little masks that you can put straws in. So I just thought, I think they were giving out free clear masks so that people can see your beautiful smile. And maybe we can invest in some straw masks if that is possible, just to put something in your mind. And thank you for mentioning the vaccine as well.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, I have one maybe that we can close with. So Director Shelby, I think you alluded to a little bit making the plans for fall, and I was able to hear a little bit about what fall might look like earlier this afternoon, but I was wondering if you can share a little bit what the campus might look like this summer and fall for the students who aren't graduating and who will be back at Purdue.
You know, I can't at this point because it is very, very early in the planning stages, but I can tell you that that we will look a little bit more like we did before. It'll be, we have to live with COVID. So the first thing is to plan to figure out how we're going to live with COVID going forward, because it's not going to go away. We won't all be vaccinated by the fall. So we still will be in a position to need to protect the most vulnerable and to control the spread of COVID-19. But what we hope to do is be able to revert to some of the things that we were able to do in the past. I'm hoping to hear that we will be able to lessen the restrictions on student events very shortly. Right now, we're still at 25, and we're hoping to move that up to a better level, or a higher level shortly. So that we'll be seeing those things looking up as we move forward. The community numbers are looking good for the spread of COVID-19, and now we have to be able to mirror that on our campus as well. And so we want to be sure again that we continue to stop the spread, but as we move forward to the summer and to the fall, you will see definitely some changes where we can maybe look a little bit more normal on our campuses. We'll still be wearing masks, I will tell you that right now.
Well, thank you all so much. We'll give you a round of applause here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear us, but thank you for taking some time to share with us tonight, and for that phone number for the icy sidewalks. I'm sure that some students can put that to good use. So thank you all so much for coming, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Vice President. Thank you, President Gilmore. Bye now.
Awesome. We'll give them just a second to log off here. Okay, and with that, we will call our meeting to order. So first, we will start with proxy reports. So if we have any proxies on the Zoom call, if you could just please state your name and who you're proxying for. Okay, doesn't look like we have any, so we'll move into roll call with Secretary Gill.
Okay. Senator Wyrick.
Here.
Senator Ferguson.
Here.
Senator Hopfer.
Here.
Senator Bonnet.
Here.
Senator Hockenberry.
Here.
Senator McClary.
Here.
Senator Eingar. Senator Eingar.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, there she is. Okay. Senator Dodonna.
Here.
Senator Chris.
Here.
Senator Beatty.
Here.
Senator Buftas. Is that correct? Senator Pereira. You're going to have to help me with that one. If you're here. There you are. How do you pronounce your name, Amber? How do you pronounce your last name? Do you have the ability to talk? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Senator Jha.
Here.
Senator Griffin Little.
Here.
Senator Davis.
Here.
Senator Reed.
Here.
Senator Cabrera.
Here.
Senator Grisham.
Here.
Senator Light.
Here.
Senator McDaniel. Senator McDaniel. Senator Stowe.
Here.
Senator de Guzman.
Here.
Senator Coffin.
Here.
Senator Reynolds.
Here.
Senator Lennon.
Here.
Senator Kopp.
Here.
Senator Chavon.
Chavon here.
Chavon. Senator Shai.
Here.
All right, roll call has been taken. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We'll now move into the introduction of visitors. So if you're a visitor on the Zoom call, if you could please just state your name and reason for being here.
This is Emily with the Exponent.
Hi, my name is Grace. I'm here for a resolution that me and the MHL committee wrote.
Hi, my name's Candace, and I'm also here for the resolution.
My name is Shelby, and I'm also here for the resolution.
Okay, wonderful. So we will now move into the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the Pledge of Purpose. I pledge allegiance our purpose We will now move into the approval of minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into executive reports. President Gilmore, do you have any executive reports?
I do. One day I won't, I promise. Hi team, happy Wednesday. First, we've been getting a lot of reports and just from our own personal experience about SAO and then the hoops that, and I'm calling them hoops, Martia is probably like, what's she talking about? But the hoops that students need to take to get an event. We know that some groups are just having their events. We know that, but point is that we are just starting this discussion with the provost as well as Dr. McCuskey. And so if you have any other insight or suggestions or other innovative ways that we can ensure our safety while also making it easier for student groups to get involved and group together, whether that be virtually or in person, please let us know. J-term, so we've got a little over 3,000 responses, huge success rate, very excited. Our numbers lately have been chef's kiss, so very proud of you all. But that being said, please continue to let people know it's supposed to be open until Sunday. We just got an email from Johanna, who's the ED of Strategic Planning Assessment. So if you haven't taken it, please take it. But in other news, there will be a town hall with a few of the University Senate chairs. I've been asked to be on it, as well as Dean Underwood and VP Wong Davis. And so if you want to attend, please do. For those of you that weren't able to talk with them in BOD, it was a very engaging discussion. Again, super proud of you all, but would recommend that you attend the town hall because that will be another opportunity to speak face-to-face, let them know how you or your constituents are feeling. Other than that, huge thank you to Vice President Dar. We wrapped up our Winter Warmth Initiative this week. We'll have stats to you very soon, but she did the work. A lot of, listen, buying kids' boots is not easy. I would just like to put that out there. So very, very grateful for you, Hannah, Vice President Dar. And then finally, our program, I know that Shannon's going to talk about this, but the programming committee spent a lot of time. I saw them in the office. I think I left at like 10, so it was late. It was too late. They were there making your bags for the Valentines. They were there setting it up. They got a significant amount of candy. And again, this is all stemming back to our survey where you said you wanted more opportunities for engagement. You said you wanted to be together. And so when we see other groups putting in the work like this, which I know we did, we had a sustainability event, we had a consent carnival, we have to support one another. And so I know I can't get to everything, but please know that we're trying to support you and to advertise. And so please, please, please stop by the office. They work so hard. It looks very cute. It's Valentine's Day. I know you all are successful, booed up. You don't need us, but it would be so cute for everyone to go in and just uplift one another and make a Valentine's Day card or two. So I think that that's all that I have for right now, but you know me, I'll probably pop back up during announcements.
Okay, I have a few various announcements. So the first one is an update about J-term that I got today, which I thought was interesting and worth sharing. So currently the plan for the J-term would be that they wouldn't assess any extra fees outside of if a student wanted a dining plan. So there wouldn't be extra co-rec fees, computer lab fees, and there'd be no differential fees for colleges. So I think, for example, engineering and a couple of the other colleges have an additional differential fee, and that would not be assessed over the J-term. So I wanted to share that as well. And I think if you have a housing contract, they're still working out the details, but they're thinking that you could just still be allowed to stay in your housing contract. You would just pay an additional fee for a meal plan if you chose to have that. So wanted to share that update, as well as for the reading day coming up next week. I'm sure Sada will talk about this more at the end, the staycation that we're sweepstakes, staycation,
The reading day sweepstakes.
Yes, so raffling off, well, it's a contest. It's not a raffle. Some nights at the Purdue Union Hotel, as well as like a gift card to get a meal there. So that's coming, but outside of that, for the reading day, wanted to say that I know they're going to host like some all-day movies at Fowler and a lot of fun activities on campus, and hopefully next week, like Director Shelby alluded to, or the following, they're hoping to loosen event restrictions back up to 50, as well as allow proposals if you want to host larger events again. I think that's what I want to say. Oh, and I also want to say, looking towards the fall, just based off the Protect Purdue meeting this afternoon, they're thinking of going back to a standard academic calendar in the fall that includes fall break as well as Labor Day off. But obviously, like she said, they're thinking probably still everyone in masks and about 75% capacity for classes. So on the rise, but obviously a lot can change. Yes, Senator Reed.
Specifically about that, do you know if they talked at all about having an online option that fall semester?
They're not planning to have an online option for the fall semester. They're still planning to offer their full catalog of classes that are typically online, like some of the math classes and English classes, etc., that are online, but they're not planning to make a separate fall online option. However, they did say that could change based off of like the new variants of COVID, if things change drastically. But if the fall looks like they're predicting with a lot less spread, then they're thinking that they're probably not going to offer that option.
Thank you.
Yes, Senator Warwick.
I was just curious if they mentioned anything about quarantining testing procedures, if that will look the same or if it will be kind of like a hands-off.
They're still planning to test. As of right now, they're still planning to test, and they're working on like right now they only have a test for one of the new variants of COVID, and then they have to do like some additional steps if they suspect someone might have like the other two. So they're working on also now like ramping up the infrastructure to be able to test for all of those variants. But yeah, they're thinking testing will happen on a smaller scale as well as quarantine and isolation next semester. Yes.
Sorry, I just have another question. So I noticed that the first 2 weeks of classes, it was rapid tests that were super efficient. You could sit in the co-rec and get it done in 15 minutes. Did they give any justification for the switch to longer time periods for tests?
Yeah. So they wanted to do rapid tests when everyone was coming back to campus so they could like quickly identify all the asymptomatic spreaders. But now they're thinking of only using the rapid tests for people who are symptomatic, so they can test them all at once for like strep, mono, coronavirus, flu, all of that at once. And I'm guessing that the other test is probably just like a little bit cheaper if they don't suspect that you have it, but that's a great question. Okay, then I have some updates about EPC. Sorry, there's a lot here. EPC has like 6 bills going on right now. And so the grade updates legislation as well as the reading week legislation that we passed in the fall is almost gone through final revisions and will hopefully be coming up at the March Senate meeting. And then outside of that, the election day off legislation is starting to go through the initial rounds of revisions, and they're hoping to have that up at the April meeting. Outside of that, there's 3 topics for bills that an informal discussion we can return to if you all have some thoughts, because I'm interested to hear what you have to say. The first one would be a permanent extension of the withdraw drop date. So like we passed legislation to extend that, but it would be keeping it that for like future semesters always. The second one is a permanent extension of the date to change from pass, no pass from your current grade mode. So it would be like how it has been in the past semesters, only forever. And then the third is a waiver for grade mode changes. So right now, if you take a class, pass, no pass, if you like don't pass it, you have to take it pass, no pass again, if that makes sense. So they're thinking about maybe doing a waiver that would allow, if you took a class, pass, no pass, to take it again, that you could earn a letter grade. So I think we can revisit those topics in informal discussion, but that's all for me for now.
Sorry, not to harp on the COVID portion of everything for too long, but regarding the briefing, did they happen to mention anything about expediting the vaccination process for students who are still going to be here next year, or like incoming freshmen or anything like that?
I think I heard most of that is about the vaccination. I can tell you that they said today they have 2 vaccination sites ready to go on campus, but the main one for students will be the co-rec, and it's completely ready to go once the state says that like students are eligible to get it. If that's not what you asked, ask your question again.
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Chief of Staff.
Yeah, so as Asada mentioned, programming has put on a Valentine's Day event for us, so just make sure to swing by. The goodie bags are in the conference room, so they're all in that general area. Love comes in many forms, and I think that we all love and care for each other, so make sure to write a little note to someone. I talked to Johanna this morning, and like Asada said, we have gotten a lot of replies. We actually have more than 3,000. We have 4,500 replies. And it's about like 80-20, so 80% positive, 20% negative. And she said that the most of the negative concerns have been from the graduate students. So beyond Purdue student government, I think involving Purdue graduate student government would be beneficial in terms of like the forum. And sustainability, one of the committee members, one of the subcommittee members, he reached out to me, and he's looking to write he's hoping to have legislation written, and we're looking for someone to help out with that. So if you're interested, you can come talk to me after you, or I'll come find you. But I think that would be really helpful, and in terms of all of the climate action stuff that needs to get done. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Are there any other executive reports?
Hi, yeah, I do have some executive reports.
Go ahead.
So SFAB was this weekend. It went pretty well. I already do have the final report ready, and currently the SFAB board is reviewing it, double checking it, but that will be on the docket for to the meeting of the 24th. And then my plan is to have that bill to you guys like before the Sunday, so you guys have some time to read it, and then also ask me questions. And then just like every year, the SFAB board will also be there during the meeting to answer any questions you have about their process and anything like that. And that bill does require 2 readings. Other than SFAB, there's about $50,000 left in the overall budget. So we spent about half of our budget. And then Senate has, I think, $5,000 or $6,000 left in their budget. That's all for me.
Thank you, Treasurer Wendler. Any other executive reports?
Yeah, the final PSG elections call-out meeting is going to be on Tuesday, the 16th at 6:30. If you can't make it to this one and haven't made the other ones, but still want to learn the info, feel free to just send me a message. We have a recording of a previous call-out that I can send you, or if you just have any general questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you, Chief Justice Zaneker. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move into committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Yes, Senator Dodona.
So last week, we got the final okay from Martia on letting the PSG small grant application go live. That happened on Friday. We're still waiting for some more applications to roll in and getting that word out to the students. But that's all going well, and hopefully we'll have some applications to review at the next meeting. In terms of the MHA committee events, we planned our event as a joint with CSRA. We're going to do a mask event where we just hand out a bunch of masks to students and give access to some resources. So that's what FA is doing.
Awesome, thank you. And then Senator Dodona, if you want to have the small grants advertised, our next newsletter goes out on Sunday. So you can send that to Emily Johnson. I'm sure she'd be happy to put it in. Yes, Senator Chris.
CSRA is taking our next meeting and diving headfirst into the data we got from that survey that we sent out last semester. And yeah, our MHA event is very exciting. We're ready to go.
Yes, Senator Reed.
I had a very productive meeting the other night. We looked at the athletic bill, as well as suggested some reworks for that, nothing major though. And then we also talked about our MHA event, and we're going to do a little what happens after QPR training, done by our wonderful event chair, Senator Kaylee, sorry, I forget your last name. We are also looking to do some other fun stuff with the Constitution. So, you know, if you're ever interested in any of that stuff, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Any other committee reports? Yes, Senator Reynolds.
So UAA is still working on the topic of course evaluations in the database. We're trying to, my project that she responded to us about. And for MHA, we're going to be making stress balls, and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. And we're also going to hand out information about course evaluations, hopefully, if she responds. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Senator Reynolds. Also, the question about like intimidation and like bias in the class for the survey, is that also included on the project that you all are working on?
So the discrimination.
Yeah.
It would be like separate. It would be like a bell.
You're not using your microphone.
Oh. Anyway, we have to meet with her first.
Okay, with that, we can move into informal discussion. Yes, Senator Bonnet.
Is this just general housekeeping? Are we having office hours on the reading day, or is that not happening?
Nope, no office hours, no BOD, no cabinet. Whatever falls on a reading day, that's your day.
Yes, Senator Reed.
Follow-up question, can we have optional committee meetings?
That's up to you. I would advise strongly against it, just because I know we're taking steps as a university to ensure that faculty, staff, students are taking the day off. But if that is what your committee finds relaxing and as a form of self-care, then by all means, Senator Reid, please.
Revise the Constitution for your relaxation. Yes, Senator Beatty.
Hey guys, I'm working on a medical amnesty policy right now for to bring to the floor. If anybody wants to sponsor it, we're gonna try to add in cases of sexual assault or abuse, because it's really just mainly intoxication right now that it states. So let me know if you want to sponsor that, because I'm only working with somebody outside of PSG.
Thank you, Senator Beatty. Okay, I have two things. The first one, does anyone, and I think there might be a couple people on the Zoom, not have a committee assignment for University Senate? I know we've had a couple new people join. Okay, I will ask again probably later in the Slack as well. And then the second one is I wanted to touch briefly on the 3 pieces of legislation that EPC is thinking of bringing up, just to get some feedback. So the first two are just to extend the withdraw drop in the pass no pass until later in the semester. So I think right now it's like the 7th week, but they would make it almost all the way until the end, like the 14th week, that you could make that change. So I just wanted to see if anyone had any feedback about that. And then the second one is the grade mode change waiver. So that's the one that would allow you, if you've taken it, pass, no pass, to take it for a grade. And I can personally just share one concern that has come up with this in the committee is that some students, so the most commonly displaced grade when they allowed the pass, no pass option was a B. And so a lot of people were picking to take a pass instead of a B on their transcript to help boost their GPA. And so one concern with this is that some students might try to take it pass fail to like not lower their GPA and then try to take it again for a grade to maybe try to get an A. But one concern with that is that if you take a class and you like pass it and you have financial aid, you're not allowed to retake that, I guess according to some of the research that they've done. So I think that is also one concern that has arisen with that I can share from the committee. The other two, we haven't really had a lot of discussion about. So if anyone has any thoughts. Senator Reed.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on the pass, no pass extension thing. So Senator Cabrera and I had the great honor of meeting with Cranert's dean late last semester, and he talked specifically about why Cranert ultimately chose not to really let students apply those to any major credit or like as prereqs for major courses. And he mentioned that that was done because they noticed a very sharp drop-off in student engagement and participation after they submitted pass, no pass. So although I think it is very nice from a student's perspective to be able to have that option, if something does change detrimentally late in the semester, I think it is also important to consider that, you know, if you're taking a class for pass, no pass, it might have less attention in your personal life than, you know, a class you're taking for a GPA. But sometimes, you know, that's kind of what pass, no pass is for. So I'd just like to bring that up to your attention.
I think it's important to note that this policy, very similar to in the fall, wouldn't change the college policy. So with the policy that's passed, Craner would still have that decision all the time, whether they would make that choice or not. It would just, the university-wide policy would be that here's the deadline, or for pass, no pass, here's the deadline. But if that does not apply to, if that only applies to electives within the College of Education or Craner, then that decision is made by the college. So does that provide a little bit of clarification?
Anybody else? Yes, Pro Tem Griffin-Lowe.
I can also just confirm that if you are retaking a class you've already passed, it definitely will not, your financial aid will not cover it. So if you are only at, say, like 12 credits and you were to do that, then it would be considered 9 academic credits, which would not make you a full-time student. So that would have to be like extremely, I think, explicit for students that are not planning on taking a total of like 15 or more credits, because that could have a big impact on their financial aid, since almost all financial aid requires full-time status.
Anybody else? Okay, great. I will share this in our Teams chat with the EPC. So any other informal discussion?
This will be in the next internal, but if you're a graduating senior, can you please let us know? So please read this email, because if you don't let us know, you might be left out of some things.
Okay. Seeing no more informal discussion, we'll move into old business. Do I hear any old business? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into new business. Do I hear any new business? Senator Reed.
I'd like to make a motion to bring up Resolution 2059.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Resolution 2059, a resolution calling for mandatory QPR training. So at this time, we'll open up the floor to discussion from the authors of the bill. So Grace, Candace, Amber, Sammy, or Olivia, and then we'll move into the floor for discussion.
I can start. So this bill sorry, I'm adjusting in my seat. So this resolution, I should say, was made by the Mental Health Action Week Committee because we want to see a lot of stuff move forward.
Grace, before you get too far, Nathan, can we turn up the volume a little bit in here? Just want to make sure that we can hear you, Grace.
Yes, let me know if you need more.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Grace.
Okay. So like I was saying, this resolution was made by the Mental Health Action Week Committee because we just want to continue to move forward with things, and we want to do it at all different levels, including the governmental level. So we think that one of the biggest things that students have issues with on campus regarding mental health is the feeling that professors and TAs don't really care about their mental health and just kind of piling on work and aren't really there for support and don't really care about what's going on in their personal lives and what they might be struggling with. So we thought that a good way to fix this is by requiring professors and TAs to do mandatory QPR training, because QPR training, it just kind of brings sensitivity to the topic of suicide as well as just any mental health. And we think that if professors and TAs have the education needed as well as the skills needed, they can be a resource to students who might be struggling, as well as just take into consideration students' mental health more, because that's just like a big issue that we have heard. So if you look at the text of it, we kind of cite some stuff. One of the things is last year, 2019, there was a tabling event done. I don't know if there's been a more recent one, but 2019, the tabling event that was done by CSRA said that students felt there was a lack of empathy on campus, and we thought that a great place to begin with that is with professors and TAs. So that is the reasoning behind the resolution. And we chose QPR because it's like a day training. It's not very long. So it wouldn't be too big of a time commitment. There's also an online portion available, so it could be COVID friendly if need be. And it is quite popular and has received a lot of good reviews. So that is why we chose QPR. And we think that it is important that professors and TAs do it so that they can be there for their students. And if anybody else in the committee wants to add in anything.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and stress a bit more on why we put in TAs as well. It's simply because a lot of professors have students go through the TAs before they can actually speak to the professor, especially in the bigger classes that we have. And I've personally had friends, and I've experienced it myself, where the professor is kind of inconsiderate or insensitive towards a student coming in and being like, hey, I missed a class because I was dealing with this. And if it's I had anxiety or if I had a panic attack, sometimes they can be really inconsiderate and be like, oh, well, that sounds like an issue to you. And this is the most I can do is give you the material from the class, but the quiz you missed, I can't help you go over that and stuff. And I don't really know why that's the case, because if anything, I feel like that increases the anxiety or the panic that the student may be going through. And a lot of them don't really know how to deal with this. And I'm not saying that professors and TAs have to become the therapist for the child, because that's not logical and that's ethically incorrect. But I would like to see them be a little more empathetic and considerate towards the student when they do come forward, because that takes a lot of guts. If I can't find a better word for that, but it takes a lot of I just can't find the right word, but basically it takes them a lot of effort to be able to feel confident to tell their professors about it and comfortable to tell their professors. So if the professor reacts negatively, I feel that that'll be only worse for the student. And we're also in the middle of a pandemic. So it's almost, it's like it would only be nice if the professors and TAs could be a little more considerate towards the student. But yeah, that's a little why we said TAs and professors and not just professors.
Yes, would someone like to yield a minute to the president? Senator Bonnet.
I'll yield a minute to the president.
Thank you, Senator Bonnet. First and foremost, thank you to Grace and Candace and Amber and Sammy and Olivia for all of your hard work on this legislation. I did just want to bring up two things. First is that as much as this is a need for students, it has also been a distinct need for faculty and staff, as well as TAs, because with the pandemic, as Amber just alluded to, you miss out on those small interactions. I can't just stay behind class and talk to my professor. They can't physically see me and maybe see how my appearance is going to change or how my demeanor or engagement with class is changing in front of them. And so they don't feel prepared to have these conversations. And that's not just with COVID, but beforehand, they did not feel like they had the skill sets. And it's something that I think now, not completely, but is more valued. And so this is not just something that Dean Hummel's alluded to it, the dean at the libraries alluded to this, how they want their staff and their faculty to be prepared to have those conversations and to be able to help students before they get to a point where they're missing quizzes and exams and are just staying in their room. So I think that this is a need from all around campus, and we've had a lot of buy-in. Second is that this goes hand in hand with another part of our mental health, Mental Health Action Week initiative, which is paying for 15 to 20 students, underclassmen, so that includes freshmen, sophomore, first-year graduate students, as well as 15 to 20 additional faculty and staff members paid for by Purdue HR to get them to be QPR trainers. This is huge. The training is about $500 a person. Right now, we have about 10 staff members that are eligible to train on campus. And the supply and demand, there's no equilibrium, the demand is too high. Dr. King alluded to, you've got faculty and staff to do it, but they work 9 to 5, have all day. And so with these two joint initiatives, we're hoping to cultivate a community of care. You all know those were my buzzwords last year, but that has not changed. And so the work that they're doing here that we hope to bring to University Senate, tied hand in hand with our other Boiler Wellness Ambassadors initiative, should provide a solid start to where we want to be on campus. And so I know Dima, who's also in our committee, said it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on an open wound, which I totally understand as well. But you have to start really big in terms of cultivating a community where we want to live, where mental health, well-being is on the forefront of everyone's mind and is an important piece of the conversation. So thank you. Thank you. Oh, look at all those wonderful ladies who wrote this piece of legislation.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Yes, Senator Chris.
So my question is kind of like, what is the likelihood that this will be implemented by the university? Because I know like last year, UAA spent the entire year working on the medical absence for students policy, and that's still stuck in the mud to this day. So what is the odds that this gets like implemented and implemented quickly too?
I can try to answer that. So, first off, I just think it's important to say that, going into the mindset of, oh, this might not be enacted is not a good reason to not make it, because if we did that, then no change would ever get done. So you have to be hopeful that it will get done. But I really do think that this is something that is at the forefront of people that work at Purdue's minds, especially after the protests that were happening last semester. I think that people, especially higher ups, are a lot more aware now, even if they weren't before. They're a lot more aware of the struggles that students are going through, and they're going to want to make changes. So if this is coming at I'd say a grassroots level where it's coming from the students, I think that is something that they'd be willing to listen to, because the students are the ones who have been the most vocal about the need for this. And I know that in the resolution, it says that we want to pass it off to graduate student government so that it could be a joint resolution. And then we want to also send it to a bunch of committees that are in University Senate. And I think that if it passes in all of those, that is great, because then it's kind of like a unified thing. We all agree that this is something that needs to happen. And I think that my committee plans on after that happens to put pressure on the provost office, put pressure on administration, really just like say, hey, this passed, this many people think this is a good idea. We have this much support behind it, and we're not going to stop until it happens.
Just to like add a little more to what Grace said, I think the likelihood of it passing in comparison to the one that was last year is much higher. Number one, simply because, like she said, there was the protests that happened on campus. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's also the pandemic. And a lot of students have been coming forward to be open about like the struggles that they have. Like, for example, my roommate, she struggles with anxiety and has panic attacks. And she had a case last week where she couldn't go to class. She was physically like unable to get out of bed because of it. And her professor, I think, is one of the heads in her department, like in her field. And he emailed her and asked her if she was okay. And when she was honest with him, he gave her her entire quiz score. Like he gave her 100%. And I kind of brought this up with Dean Underwood when I spoke to her this week. And she felt like the HHS college in particular would be backing this, would back this up completely, because we are the college that teaches health and which that teaches psychological sciences, and we also feel that it's really important for a lot of the clauses that's on the resolution to be passed, because it is the need of the hour, like Asada said. But yeah.
I know I'm not supposed to do this, but to answer your question, also in every single MHA presentation, so that's been made to the provost, it's been made to the President's Advisory Council, it's been made to the deans. They know that this is happening, and we also have the support of Julie Cox, who runs the Office of the Dean of Students. We have the support of Dr. Beth McCuskey, who is our Vice Provost of Student Life, as well as our Dean of Students. And so it's not just something that's going to come out of the blue and end up at Senate, University Senate. It's something that they've been in conversations with and making sure we move cohesively, so that way when we get to, per your point, when we do all this work to get to there, we're not just shut down. So the lady said it perfectly, but did want you to have that context as well.
Senator Bonnet?
First off, I telepathically yielded a minute to Asada, so she's clean. She's good. Second off, I would like to note that I think this will actually be easier because while we are all idealists and optimistic, realistically, QPR training is something that already occurs at Purdue, so the ball's already rolling. So to just like push it a little faster is not as difficult as like a ball that's not moving at all. So I think realistically we stand a really good shot because it's already in motion.
Yes, Senator Chris.
I just want to say I have full support of this bill. Like I was voting for it no matter what. I just was curious what you guys all thought of the likelihood was.
It's a great question. Any other discussion? Senator Ferguson, is that a? Sorry. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, we will move into a vote on Resolution 2059, resolution calling for mandatory QPR training. All of those in favor in person, please raise your name placards. All those online, please raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay. With a vote of 23-01, Bill 2059 passes. Okay, let's go. Is there any other new business? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into announcements. Are there any announcements? Senator Bonnet.
Because I like to be a broken record. It's Friday. Friday's your deadline for an MHA event. It's a great time to be outreaching to your college, your friends, whoever, your clubs. It's a super great time. There's funding available. We got money for you. We want to give it to you. Sign up. Get into it.
President Gilmore, then Senator Wyrick.
Because I said I would bring up the Reading Day sweepstakes, and I like saying that. It is, so we're going to open on, Reading Day is next Wednesday. So the night at the PMU would happen on Tuesday night, and then you can go into Wednesday. But whatever we call it, the sweepstakes opens on Friday, and it'll stay open until Sunday. And then the winner will be announced either Sunday night or Monday morning. So I would urge all of you to get involved. You already have a lot. Well, hopefully you follow Purdue SG on Instagram. There would be a post. You just have to comment 3 people, and then you have to share our post and talk about how do you practice self-care. So if your committee wants to get in that raffle and have a committee meeting at the PMU, please feel free. But this is going to be a big deal, and when we announce, we'll also talk about all the other things that are happening on campus during the reading day that aren't supposed to be big commitments. They're just supposed to be there for you to have fun. So please do enter. Please do tell everyone. Tell your professors. If you have a professor that doesn't have a reading day, be like, actually, I do, and so do you. Look here. But yeah, it's supposed to be something that's fun. It happens on campus, and then it'll happen again in March and again in April. So really excited about it.
And you get a gift card to like go to that cute little restaurant now in the Union. Senator Wyrick.
This is just super quick. So for MHA, I'm on ASADA's Big Events Committee, and we're doing a student-faculty mental health town hall, and we're going to talk about how we foster empathy. It's going to be so exciting. So if anybody, if you have any connections to mental health student orgs or a professor you think is super cool and would love to join, shoot me an email, let me know.
I was going to ask you all about how your mental MHA events are coming, but since you all are already on it, I don't have to do that. We'll remind you that on February 21st, there is a volunteer opportunity, staple bandanas, put stickers on cookies, prepackaged cookies, 1,000 prepackaged cookies. So lots of fun things. If you haven't done your volunteer event, that's February 21st. Any other announcements? Time? Ask
I have an announcement. I have an announcement.
The event? Oh, 4. It's at 4. It's at 4 on the 21st.
So what time is it?
It's at 4. It's going to be during like our normal committee hours from 4 to 7:30. You don't have to be there the whole time. But there is a sign-up link because we know it's COVID. We do have to track attendance. So if you're going to bring some of your pals, please put in an accurate number because you will be either in Croc or the Black and Gold Gym across the street. And so this year, we don't have 17,000 bandanas, but we will have close to 8,000, 1,000 cookies, and we'll be making wellness bags. So we do need a lot of help.
I'll put in this.
Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Dr. King, do you have an announcement?
I have an announcement. I do. My announcement is to just about Protect Purdue guidelines. And so we know that currently Purdue is holding still, as what was mentioned earlier, but we're hearing inklings of students and student organizations forcing their members to go get tested before showing up to things. Please do not do that. That is overburdening the system. And while that may be in good intention and want to be safe at your event or meeting or activity, please do not do that unless they have been randomly selected or feel sick. Is the only reason students should be going to get tested or have had a close contact. So student organizations or individual students cannot demand people to go get tested. Although well-intentioned, is currently has been asked from Protect Purdue to not do that. So that is my announcement. Also, if people need help with their event, please feel free to reach out. We do have drop-in Zoom hours every day. So if folks need help or have questions, we are there to help. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, Zoom lipstick really works. You haven't tried it.
I don't know what that question was. Asada wants to know if you're wearing real lipstick.
No, this is Zoom lipstick and Zoom eyebrows that I have put on.
What? I didn't know this was a thing. I thought your question was a joke. Anyway. Any other announcements?
Can you?
Okay, seeing none, we'll have Senate snaps. So if you have any snaps, feel free to shout them out, and I will come around. Okay, Senator Lennon, then Reed, then Chris.
I just want to give a snaps to Senator Wyrick. She's been really helpful the past few days. She also drove me here so I didn't have to walk in the snow. And she's been having a rough day, so.
I would like to give some big snaps to Senator McCleary. He's been an awesome member of PSG for a while, and he's been one of the more productive members of the IA committee. So seriously, thank you. Your fashion sense is always impeccable, and you will be missed.
I want to give snaps to Senator Dodona and Senator Ferguson because they have done a lot with this M-Hall event that we've been planning, and I haven't been doing very much. They've been taking the lead, and I just want to say thank you to both of them.
Hoffer and Ferguson? Is that what you said? No, Dodona and who? Ferguson.
And on that lovely note, we'll give a snap to our very own VP because I heard rumors that she got into grad school, which is just the coolest thing on the block. So snaps to you.
I would like to give snaps to our committee chairs. They're doing really great work. And also I want to give snaps to Sammy specifically because she's been very encouraging with my exam I have, and I have appreciated her support. I have a big exam tomorrow, everyone, so that'll wish me luck.
Okay,
I have a snap on the Zoom.
My snap for Evan.
Can you repeat yourself? Who said that?
Go ahead, Senator Guzman.
Okay, I have one. I know he's probably not going to take one, but another one for Senator McCleary because has been my chauffeur for the past Senates that I've been to, and I know he loves sappy comments and he loves loud snaps. So if you would all give him loud snaps, that would be nice.
Sorry. I wanted to give a snap to Alex for being super patient with me when we talked about the bill that I wrote. I've never written a bill before, so they're very patient and very helpful, and I really appreciate it.
I'm just gonna go. I had Alex said anything, but I wanted to give one to Alex Griffin Little. She hosts Senate Leader time, and
I'm going to give a shout out to one of the senators on Zoom. Shout out to Amber. I think that's her first resolution/bill that she put up, and she killed it. Her presentation was great, and I'm just so proud of you. So big congrats to you.
President Gilmore.
I want to give a snap to Brooke because A, she's a great cook. Second, she taught me that you can auction for sheep or lamb. And I know more about the ag world than I ever thought I would know. So thank you, Brooke.
They want a sheep for MHAW as the mascot. It'd be real cute with the little bandana around its neck. Cute, cute. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Okay, seeing no more snaps, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
For the last and final time, Madam President, I move you we do now adjourn.
Okay, it's been properly motioned and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. In the ears of the chair, the ayes have it, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Be safe driving home in the snow. We miss you. You all are awesome. Have a great rest of your week.